Let's take a look at Piaget versus Vygotsky. Several theories that went opposed and contrasted one another, yet often seems like go hand in hand. As we look into Piaget's theory, he goes into the four developmental stages, which include sensory motor
Pre-operational.
and the concrete and formal operation stage. Everyone goes through these stages, usually at about the same time, depending on the age. It could be a little bit younger, a little bit older. Sometimes these stages may overlap, but you will always go through these stages. You'll never skip from stage 1 to 3 or 2 to 4 or work backwards, but go through the process. In contrast, Vygotsky would argue that children need modeling and guided practice, and someone has to guide them through the process in order for them to do on their own. While Piaget focuses on an individual, Vygotsky will focus on the social group community aspect of learning. Vygotsky's theory focuses on social learning. He believes that if you put them in groups, they will talk and they learn the needed social skills because learning is not simply mental ability or mental development or mental growth. Learning is about developing the whole child. We can break it down between these two differences, development and learning. Now, Piaget believes that development occurs before learning, while Vygotsky, learning predates development. Which came first? And now that we've gotten a sneak peek background knowledge of these two, let's go deeper into Lev Vygotsky and his theory. Vygotsky's theory puts much emphasis on the social factors as contributors of learning for cognitive development to take place. That means that the culture really influences the individual, allowing them to grow, to experience, therefore to learn. The environment in which children grow up will influence learning and development. The setting in which the children grow up will have a great influence in their development. The adults and mentor figures are important sources of cognitive development. Knowledge and learning comes from the influence being had by our adults, the people around us, and those figures who are important sources into our cognitive development. It's like the old saying, it takes a village to raise a child. Cognitive development stems from social interactions from guided learning within the zone of proximal development, the ZPD, as children and their partners co-construct knowledge. What is the zone of proximal development? Here's a quick snap, and we'll dive into it deeper. The zone of proximal development, according to Vygotsky, is the distance between the actual developmental level as determined by independent problem solving and the level of potential development as determined through problem solving under adult guidance or in collaboration with more capable peers. Vygotsky believed that when a student is in the zone of proximal development for a particular task, providing the appropriate assistance will give the student enough of a boost to achieve the task, to assist a person to move through the zone of proximal development. Again, moving through the ZPD. How do we do such a task? Well, as educators, we're encouraged to focus on three important components which aid the learning process. The presence of someone with knowledge and skills beyond that of the learner. What does that mean? Somebody else, someone with more knowledge. Could be anybody. That social interactions with a skillful tutor that allow the learner to observe and practice their skills. Someone that they could look as a model or a mentor. And scaffolding or supportive activities provided by the educator or more experienced peer to support the student as he or she is led through the ZPD, the zone of proximal development. Now let's take a quick look at our chart again. Here's the chart of the zone of proximal development. Think of it as the I do, we do, you do. In the outside, we have the can't do, even with guidance, right? This is when a teacher or a mentor is explaining. Then it's the we do, that we could do it if we are guided. The good stuff, the struggle, the fails, and the triumphs. Then there's the I can do this independently. The moment where all of a sudden we totally know it and we get it, right? Well, the zone of proximal development hangs in the middle, and it is within the struggle, the questions, the back and forth, the aha moments when we're finally getting it. That's the sweet spot that Vygotsky focuses on. So let's go ahead back to a quick review. Piaget versus Vygotsky. Two theories which contradict each other, yet complement one another at the same time. It's the old chicken or the egg dispute. Which one comes first? These theories happen almost simultaneously as we see children interact, how they're influenced by one another. Then we see how they also develop as individuals. See, Vygotsky often agreed with Piaget as well. He agreed that the development of cognitive abilities takes place in stages, and he also agreed broadly with the description of the stages. However, he viewed cognitive development as a social process where children learn from experienced adults. Vygotsky's theory focuses on the role of culture in the development of mental abilities, how we do speech and reasoning within children. We see influential adults, how influential adults in society foster child care's cognitive development by engaging them in challenging and meaningful activities. Adults convey to children how their culture interprets and responds to the world. We also notice how the interactions with others significantly increase not only the quantity of information and the number of skills a child develops, it also affects the development of higher order mental functions such as formal reasoning. And then we have the ZPD, the zone of proximal development. It's Lev Vygotsky that says, every function in the child's cultural development appears twice. First, on the social level, and later on the individual level. First, between people, as in interpsychological, and then inside the child, intrapsychological. This applies equally to voluntary attention, to logical memory, and to the formation of concepts. All the higher functions originate as actual relationships between individuals. Being one who believes in how we influence one another, how we learn from culture in order to learn and grow as an individual, I heavily relate to Lev Vygotsky's social cultural theory of cognitive development. And I hope you picked up a thing or two. We'll love to hear your feedback and see how he shapes your theory of education.